Hey guys, I just wanted to do a video on why I switched. And when I'm talking about switching, I am talking why I left the game I love so well and grew up on, Dungeons and Dragons, and why I have switched to Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. So to fully understand this, you need to know my history with Dungeons and Dragons and why it means so much to me that I have a tattoo on my arm of the little N symbol from Dungeons and Dragons. And then you're probably thinking, wait, if she loves it so much, why did she get a tattoo? Why is she switching to Basic Fantasy? So, to get all of that understood and answer all those questions, I'm going to tell you my D&D history to start off with. And I apologize, guys, if you heard this before, because I know majority of my subscribers, the little bit I have, is players of mine. There's a few coworkers, there's a few people I met through the store, so they might not necessarily know the story. If you do, I apologize for repeating myself with this story, but I think it's very crucial to understand the story, to understand why I did the switch. Okay, so let's get started with it. So my story history of D&D, kind of try to do a Cliff Note version. Alright, I grew up in an awesome family filled with Dungeons and Dragons players. So my mom, sister, my Aunt Marie was into D&D, and she went to my mom and they started playing and their friends played. So D&D was always around. Even when a game wasn't going on, there was always at least one or two books around the house. I would flip through it, look at the artwork, look at the maps, and look at the weapons and stuff like that, and I got sucked in. So my cousins play, my siblings play, obviously I play, and those books that I grew up on was first and second edition. That's the books I flipped through. So when I became an adult and I bounced around and moved around, I moved to Florida where I knew zero people. That's right, zero people. And so when I came down here, I didn't have my family to game with. Because growing up, there was always games going on, whether it's Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, or board games. We were a game family. Even video games. It was the whole family sat down and we did it together. So it was our favorite pastime to spend together. So when I moved to Florida, I really missed that. So after trying to find some people, coworkers or whatnot, to game, I stumbled across an amazing family who owns an amazing gaming shop in Port Richey, Florida, E&D Games. They became my Florida family. They're still my Florida family. So I game with them for years. Love them. They are my family. And so we played 4th edition at the shop at the time because that's the edition, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed 4th, and then 5th edition came out. I got the books, and we played that, and I got married. Long story short, I moved a couple hours, 2 hours or so north of Port Richey to where my wife's family lives and is from. So I don't get to go down there as much to game with them. So my wife and her family and all are gamers somewhat, and my wife's friends are gamers. So I started up here gaming with basically, you can say, my family. So it went back to being the core of what gaming is for me, spending time with my family, my friends. And so I have some friends from Port Richey that come up here a couple times a month or whatnot and game. And we have those game sessions, and I have my friends up here that we get some game sessions going on. So it just basically became back to what I grew up on. Family, friends, gaming. Okay? So, fast forward a little bit further as I'm playing more with my family and it becoming back to being the core of what gaming meant to me. I started longing for what I grew up on. I started longing for those really crappy artwork pictures. And you know what I'm talking about if you've ever opened up a first edition book, ever. And I started, because I have Paizo face cards, because I'm one that likes the handouts and the face cards and all that stuff. And I found myself buying the second edition artwork face cards that Dungeons and Dragons produced by TSR, okay, back in the 80s and 90s. But it's second edition. And granted, I love my newer artwork. I have posters all throughout this gaming room of the newer artwork from Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons stuff. But I started longing for what I grew up on. And so I have basically all first edition books. I have some second edition books. I have all third edition books. I have all fourth edition books. I have some of fifth edition books. And but I was really longing for that old school feel. So I started talking to my players, and they're like, yeah, let's see what this game's at, because they're all what I would consider newer players, which I call what I call newer players is like from 3.5 on. And that includes Pathfinder, because that's 3.5 basically. So as I was setting up some stuff for basically a first edition game, I found it where I had to try to reteach and explain to them like some of the older school rules from like the hit charts to see if you succeeded when you attacked and all of that. And so I was trying to find some YouTube videos that I can send them, because as my players know, you guys know, I use YouTube a lot because we're spread out in Florida. So I was trying to find a YouTube video that can better explain it, because I don't explain sometimes the best way with things. So I was trying to find something, like I said, to help out with it. Well, I stumbled across some videos on Basic Fantasy Roleplaying Game. So I started watching them, and I was like, this looks interesting. And so I went to the website, and you can get this game for free. Free, $0. Free. So I downloaded all the crap first. I wanted to really see what this game was about before I dived in money. And when I started going through the game, I liked the adventures. I liked the pre-made adventures that it offers. They're simplistic enough, and everyone, my players especially, knows this. Everyone knows that when I do a pre-made game, I always change things around. And so I like to change the story a little bit. So the Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Games pre-made campaigns and adventures, especially the anthology series of it, is very, bare, minimum information. So it gives you the flexibility to plant them wherever you need to. It doesn't give you all that fancy frill. So I love it. It's so great for what I want and what I need. So as I was looking through the campaigns and all, I started looking through the rule book, and I fell in love with what I was reading. It is that first edition, raw, basic, Dungeons and Dragons core, like starter set type, thing. And it fixes all the stuff that I was trying to explain to my players about the older editions of the games. And a lot of the rulings that I would either toss out of my older games or whatnot, the rules weren't even in there. So it's literally my perfect game. And I would tell everyone who's getting into the Dungeons and Dragons hobby now, look up Basic Fantasy. It's what you want, what you need. No, it's not all with the huge frills and stuff, but I mean, it's low rule and it's raw and it's just great. I can't tell you guys enough how amazing this game setting is. It fixes all the clunkiness from the old editions. And it's free. You can totally get it for free. You can download every little bit of their stuff, all the supplements and stuff like that for free. All the core rule books for free. All the adventures for free. All the campaign centers for free. Like, guys, like, for someone who's trying to start a family, who, you know, doesn't have a super lot of money, even buying the books, it's affordable. $5 or less per book. That's right. $5 or less per book. And when you compare it to D&D books, I mean, I've gotten some, first edition books for, $20, $30, but compared to $5. Or you could go out and get the newest edition of D&D of, 5th edition or whatnot and pay $50. Or you can get an amazing game system for free or $5 if you want to buy the physical book. And I fell in love with it. If you're looking for a really good game setting and stuff like that where you can add your flavor, your flair, whatnot, check it out. It is exactly what I grew up on. And that's why I made the switch. I mean, it's not because, fifth edition's broken or any of those, edition wars, because realistically, each edition I liked. I enjoyed D&D, very much so. But this, to me, is what I've grew up on. I can't beat the price. I'll still have my D&D books, and I'm not saying I'll never run a game of D&D again, but moving forward, this is what we're playing. And it's basically because it's what I grew up with. And that's why I made the switch. I just say, check it out. What's it going to hurt you? You download some stuff. You don't like it. Just delete it. So I tell everyone, just check it out. Even the people who still want to play the current ones, I say download the adventures or whatnot just to get ideas from. That's what got me started hooking on it, is I would go through the adventures and convert it to 5th edition, and then I was like, I'll just start playing the game. So that is why I made the switch. So again, D&D will always be a special spot in my heart. By the way, that tattoo I was talking about, it is multicolored green on my arm, and it's the little, N symbol. And I got it for my mom, because if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be the gaming nerd that y'all come to love. Anywho, so that is that, and I'm sorry for a rambling video, but I just wanted to explain to you guys why I made the switch. So now you know. So thank you guys.